Is there any objection to that course of action? There is none. A call on Government Order of the Day number 3.
Freedom Camping Bill, Committee Stage.
I declare the House in committee for consideration of the Freedom Camping Bill. Mr Chairman.
Mr Speaker. Kia ora kātou no reira te whare, inga iwi, inga rio, inga hawe wha tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Good evening, honourable members. The House is in committee on the Freedom Camping Bill. The question before the committee is that Part 1 stand part. I invite some honourable member to seek the call, and Part 1 is debate on clauses 3 to 9 and Schedule 1. I call the honourable member Phil Twyford.
Tēnā koe, Mr Chairman.
Tēnā koe.
Where to begin with this misnamed Freedom Camping Bill? It is a bill, sir, with so much that's wrong with it, and I'm hoping that we'll have enough time this evening to tease out the many defects in this bill. Labor has set out in our minority report and in the second reading our opposition to the bill, and members of the House and members of the public who are interested in listening will know that we went into this debate with an open mind. We recognise there's a problem with in certain parts of the country where there is a problem with people fouling the side of the road, leaving litter and waste in a way that no one wants to see. But Mr Chairman, in the process of the Select Committee discussions and the process of listening to public submissions, we formed a very clear view that this bill is a punitive and heavy-handed response to this problem, that it is bad law and that it should not proceed. We believe, sir, that giving councils and the Department of Conservation both the power to enforce compliance under this bill for both people who freedom camp in prohibited areas and for littering and waste is a step too far, and that the net result of this bill is to threaten freedoms that generations of New Zealanders have enjoyed. That is the freedom to move around this country and enjoy the great outdoors. It raises the possibility, Mr Chairman, that people who go into the countryside on a Friday night for a weekend of fishing, climbing, hunting, surfing, tramping, and camp beside the road on a Friday night after they've driven from their homes, from the cities, with the idea that they will get up early in the morning on Saturday morning to hit the waves or to go tramping or to go hunting, they could easily find themselves on the wrong side of the law under this bill. There's no compulsion under this bill for local authorities to establish a kind of a minimum requirement for signage in certain areas. It will be very easy for people who are freedom camping, responsible freedom campers, to park on the side of the road and find themselves woken up in the middle of the night by some council official banging on the window of the camper van and moving them on, let alone slapping a $200 instant fine on them. The debate, sir, has flushed out a lot of concern from New Zealanders about the threat to this freedom, and I want to quote a couple of them. This is from Grant and Smiley Henderson, who live in Pakuranga in Auckland. They wrote, "There are many of us, retired, hard-working New Zealanders. We call ourselves grey nomads. Many of us have self-contained rigs worth as much as a small inner-city apartment. We've gone to considerable expense to ensure our motorhomes are fully certified and self-contained to allow us to camp away from other facilities for many days. We leave places where we stop tidier and cleaner than we found it. we leave nothing behind but tyre imprints in the gravel. Many of us spend a worthwhile amount of money weekly in the smaller centres around the country. We enjoy the slower pace of the country areas, the quieter surroundings, the simpler way of doing things. We prefer to freedom camp at times for the solitude and serenity of the remote places we find to do this. They go on to say that in its present form, the Freedom Camping Bill criminalises everyday law-abiding New Zealanders because they own a motorhome and enjoy the freedom of the outdoors. This is a huge step backwards for this country, they say. It will give local councils a licence to target and fine everyone rather than target those who actually create the problem. And I think, sir, they've touched on the nub of the problem here. What this bill does is that it targets an entire category of person, those who enjoy freedom camping and who go out in the countryside and do it. It targets a whole category of activity, freedom camping, without focusing on the activity that actually does the damage. Mr. Chairman.
I call the honourable member
Mr. Chairman,
Twyford.
The members across the House who are supporting this bill, they railed against the phasing out of modern, efficient light bulbs that is happening all over the Western world, and they said it was nanny state.
That's right.
And this is the very same party now in government who are using a sledgehammer to crack a walnut, who are criminalising everyday law-abiding New Zealanders, as that person wrote in, simply to solve a problem of people littering and leaving waste on the roadside. It's a travesty, and they should not be allowed to get away from it. I note that the bill is also supported by the ACT Party, who love to trumpet their claim to be the great Liberal Party, the great defender of our freedoms and liberties. And I know that actually many of the members of the ACT Party in this House don't support this bill. But they've been dragooned into it by the local government minister, Rodney Hyde. Mr. Chairman, we want to propose in the course of this debate a number of amendments that we think would improve this legislation, and we look forward to debating those. And in particular, we would like to see the deletion of the provisions that criminalise the act of freedom camping. There is no need for it. We could actually achieve the objectives that we all have in this matter by bringing in an enforcement and infringement regime that deals with littering and the dumping of waste on dockland or on council land. That would be sufficient, along with the kind of powers that are set out in the Minister's SOP, to allow the owners of the camper vans to recover the fines from the people renting those camper vans. And we were told at Select Committee, sir, that the great majority of problems in this area are caused by international visitors using camper vans that are not self-contained, that do not have self-contained toilet facilities. Well, I submit, sir, that a much more focused and targeted approach could actually solve much of this problem, as well as local authorities in this country investing more in the provision of both toilets and rubbish bins in the places that are most vulnerable to this problem, sir. In Part 1 of the bill, there's a definition of freedom camping, and I would like to draw the Minister's attention to it. It says, Clause 5, Subclause 1, freedom camp means to camp within 200 metres of a motor vehicle accessible area from the mean low water springs line of any sea or harbour, or 200 metres of a formed road or the Great Walks track. All you've got to do is be in that area and be using a tent, a caravan, a car, a camper van, house truck or other motor vehicle, and you are freedom camping. And you may not know it, you may not have seen the sign in the darkness, but you've broken the law. And sir, I say that this is an infringement of a really important freedom that New Zealanders have enjoyed for a long time. And I've spent a good part of my life hitchhiking, climbing, tramping, fishing around the country, and more often than not, trips away for those sort of activities involve camping on the side of the road, sir, in situations that would very likely lead someone to cause an infringement under this draconian and punitive bill. Clause 2A, sir, really illustrates the absurdity of this bill. One of the concerns that many people expressed at the Select Committee was that the bill would effectively allow councils to institute a blanket ban in their territory. And Clause 2A, and I think Clause 11 further on in the bill, says the powers of regulation under this Act do not allow blanket bans. Well, just by saying it doesn't make it true. A council can implement a ban over 98% of the territory, 97%. How much, Minister, is not a blanket ban in your book? And I invite the Minister to take a call and explain to New Zealanders the logic behind inserting a provision into this bill that says councils cannot use it to blanket ban, when that means that they cannot outlaw freedom camping on all of their territory. Well, actually, they can do it in 98 or 99%.
I call